Well, a pleasant good Thursday morning to you, folks, and another beautiful start to a day on Thursday. And let's time now for the Premier Cooperatives look at the overnight markets and forward to the day trade. And with us, Premier Doug Crop. Good morning to you, Premier Doug.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you.
You're welcome. For the higher markets.
Exactly.
Green on the screen today. Yeah.
Yeah, we like the color green, especially when it's on the screen. And kind of a steady start. Actually, the market started a little bit of carryover trade, I imagine, into the early overnight trade. But then we saw a little bit of pickup. And I would guess that most of it comes back to China.
Yeah, definitely. We talked about that a little bit yesterday morning, and looking at the lack of Chinese news or new purchases by China makes the market be a little bit nervous. And then when we get a response or a new sale announced, then the market responds the other way. So it's kind of a continued story there. And then there were some meetings between some delegates from the U.S. as well as China together, some leaders on trade yesterday, and that I think just the fact that they're having conversations supports the market as well.
Exactly, and of course the other thing is we'll get back to China in a second here, but the other thing is, of course, the weather forecast. And boy, all three of the models and two that normally we watch, it's still just very, very moderate rainfall in the Midwest, and if we miss this strike of rain through here, it's going to get pretty critical because, boy, if you take a drive around the country, there's some corn rolled up tighter than rolled up.
Yes. There's definitely, this is the time of year with the warm temperatures that we have that we need to have timely rains and continued rains. And with some of the, the root structures that some of these crops have with the start that they had, it's not as great as we'd like to see it. So they're going to need rains to continue to push this crop along. And, definitely worth watching if these rains don't materialize. And then going forward, the short-term 2-week forecast looks pretty good. You go forward in that, obviously accuracy is in question possibly, but at this point they're still looking for some pretty warm temperatures and not a lot of rain through July.
No, it doesn't look like that at all. That's going to bode negatively to the crop, but yet probably the market's going to watch that weather pretty darn close, I would think, especially during this time of the growing season. Back to China. I found it interesting that the Brazilian government is starting to insult China. And actually, a United States company that's at least based in the United States in Brazil, Cargill, they didn't think it was a very good idea to slap around China right now.
Yes. So when you think of China, it's like you hate them and you love them. You hate them for a lot of their political policies and things, but you love them because of the fact of their big demand and their appetite for agriculture products. And so a little bit of disagreement there in how they want to have rhetoric with China when they're looking at trying to increase their exports to them out of other countries. But it is kind of interesting to see that the U.S.'s perspective on China at times is not just alone in the U.S. It's a world thing. Every country has their issues in dealing with them and has to work through those things.
Yeah, exactly. And I was I guess I was surprised, but yet not, the amount of grain that came from this one trader of Cargill that came out of Brazil to China. 8.1 million metric tons of oilseeds out of Brazil. That was just Cargill.
Yes, definitely. China's a big consumer of products, and Brazil relies on them even at a bigger level than the U.S. does. So definitely when there's words exchanged, that brings attention to people.
Well, the other thing is export demand that they'll be looking for coming out of the last USDA report. Export sales comes out this morning, and really I think they pretty well know what's going to happen, but they're still guessing both old and new crop to be respectful, I guess, and maybe just enough to maybe get us back in line with the USDA estimates.
Yeah, I would say so. We've had some pretty decent exports, especially in soybeans here lately, and it looks like looking at both old crop, and then in the 2020-21 crop for soybeans, expectations for the export sales report look to be fairly decent. Nothing outstanding, but good numbers, solid numbers to hopefully keep us on track.
Well, look, let's go ahead and take a look at some green numbers on the Chicago Board of Trade through the overnight as they continue to trade from Premier Cooperative, Doug Kropp.
Okay, July corn is up 2.25 cents at 332.5. New crop December corn is up 2.75 cents at 345.5. New crop December 21, approaching that 375 area, it's up 2.75 at 374.5. On the soybeans, July up 1.75 higher at 873. New crop November beans are up 1.75 as well at 878.25. And the wheat's up 1.75 on July at 490.5, and December wheat's up 2 cents at 505 even.
Doug Kropp with us each morning from Premier Cooperative, looking at the overnight markets and forward to the day trade. And, of course, during the corporate trade day hours, Doug can be reached at 217-355-3369. That's 355-3369, or you can always go to their website, premiercooperative.net. Thank you, Premier Doug. You have a Premier Thursday.
Yeah, thank you. I will, and you have a terrific day as well.